Vernacular architecture is a term coined in the mid-20th century by writer, architect, collector, teacher, designer, and social historian Bernard Rudofsky. It generally describes a style of building which reflects either the purpose of the structure, the environment in which it's built, or both. With the increasing popularity and ubiquity of automobiles in the first half of the 20th century, roadside vernacular in particular was an architectural aesthetic concerned with grabbing the attention of passing motorists, and this style became prolific throughout the United States beginning in the 1950s, especially in the South and West. An orange stand shaped like an orange, a donut shop shaped like a donut, a hot dog stand shaped like a hot dog, or an ice cream stand shaped like an ice cream cone. You get the idea. Of course, the style also veered into the wild and absurd with things like the Cabazon Dinos, this bulldog-shaped cafe, and whatever the heck this is. The milk bottle and milk can were popular forms for roadside dairy and ice cream bars, with numerous examples erected over the years, particularly in the New England states. Though a number are no longer in the same places where they were originally built, many survive today, including the Hood Milk Bottle in Boston, Massachusetts, the Milk Bottle at G&S Pizza in New Bedford, Mass., Salvador's Ice Cream in South Dartmouth, Mass., the Milk Bottle Restaurant in Raynham, Mass., and even another milk can in Denver, Colorado. Now, the milk bottle makes sense. Although most milk today is sold in cartons, jugs, and bags, it's still common to see some milk packaged in glass bottles, especially where delivered by traditional milkmen to doorstep delivery boxes. But what even is a milk can? Well, simply put, milk cans were once the predominant method of storing and transporting bulk dairy products to markets and bottlers. The high-capacity metal containers were designed as a sanitary solution for keeping the milk clean and pure during transport. The use of milk cans generally started to fall out of favor as dairy products began being transported by large tanker trucks as the 20th century progressed. Milk cans still have niche uses today for the transport of smaller amounts of dairy products, wine, and other consumable liquids. Though originally made of aluminum or steel, modern versions are constructed of stainless steel and have tight silicone seals versus the metal-on-metal friction seals of the traditional cans. But before getting too off topic, what we're here to talk about today is the iconic abandoned milk can restaurant in North Smithfield, Rhode Island. The already vacant stand was moved at great expense in 1989, only to remain dormant for the next 37 years. We'll get to why shortly, as well as what the future might hold for this Rhode Island icon. The original milk can building, just the cylindrical structure, was built and opened as an ice cream stand in 1931 by Charles Plant. Plant sold the stand in 1947 to Joseph Mariani, who expanded the menu into short-order foods like fried clams and hamburgers. Mariani expanded the restaurant building to include a kitchen L and an outdoor canopy in 1950, followed by a patio area in 1960. The stand did a phenomenal business, scooping non-stop well into the night on many hot summer evenings, especially with the rustic drive-in movie theater just a few thousand feet up the road. Unfortunately, after Joseph's wife passed away in 1968, the restaurant was shuttered and never reopened. 20 years later, in 1988, the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, or RIDOT, was preparing for the construction of a new state highway, the terminus of which would obliterate the milk can. In the lead-up, efforts were made to save the structure, which had been acquired by eminent domain for the construction. The building was auctioned off with the stipulation that it needed to be moved, and through the work of the Rhode Island Historic Preservation Commission, RIDOT, and the Federal Highway Administration, all stakeholders in the project, the effort was successful. Although not the original winner of the auction, complications led to Stanley Sertel and Frank DeAndrea's second-place bid of $1,001 prevailing, and in January 1989, the building was tipped on its side, loaded into a specially designed cradle on a flatbed truck, carefully moved about a mile up the road, then righted again onto a newly built slab at its current location. Although the two businessmen jumped through many legal and regulatory hoops to get the stand reopened, including the expensive construction of a new kitchen space, septic system, and well, the 1990 discovery of benzene contamination at the site from the adjacent gas station brought everything to a halt. As of 2025, it's unclear what the future holds for the milk can. Back in 2012, following 20 years of remediation, the well tested within federal and state drinking water guidelines, paving the way for something to move forward here. But what? Though plans seem to have stalled for now, Frank DeAndrea's grandson, the current owner of the property, is hopeful that the site will be redeveloped soon, potentially including a microbrewery space, if not an ice cream stand. So the question remains, what's left inside of the abandoned milk can? Well, the simple answer is almost nothing. The interior was never finished or outfitted following the move. The restaurant operated for 37 years before it closed, nearly 57 years ago now. In fact, it's been almost 37 years just since the building was moved. About the same length of time that it was open a mile away from here, it sat vacant in its current location. None of this makes the structure any less interesting to look at, though. Really, it's a marvel of craftsmanship, with wood appearing to bend effortlessly around its curved forms. Although it may be a little worse for the wear, the end is nowhere in sight for this cultural touchstone, which generations of Rhode Islanders are familiar with, despite most of them having never bought an ice cream here. Join me now for a look in and around the milk can, including both new and old footage, as well as some breathtaking and sad then versus now photos. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this walkthrough, then I hope you'll give the video a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I have new videos out all the time covering an array of topics, including plenty more just like this one. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.